Scale AI has just raised a whopping $1 billion in funding. This is massive. What are you talking about? Like companies in the AI space raising funding. Once you hit the $1 billion, this isn't a $1 billion valuation. This is $1 billion raised. Today on the podcast, I want to be breaking down exactly what they're planning on doing with this money, what the valuation that they're currently doing, what their multiple is. There's some really interesting stuff. Who's putting the money in, why they're putting the money in, all of that stuff. It is absolutely fascinating. The first thing I want to say here is that they are raising at a $14 billion valuation. So, taking in $1 billion, they're having to give up less than 10% equity in their company, probably like, 7.5% equity or something roughly around there, right? $14 billion valuation. And what might you ask is their revenue? Like how much money are they actually making? Before I get into that, I want to say Scale AI is a company that essentially sells clean data for AI companies or other companies that are training AI models to train on that. That's kind of the thing. And the reason why this is important is because there's tons of data sets out there. There's all sorts of places where you can get data, but getting the data actually cleaned, meaning it's ready to train in a model, it's formatted correctly, it's ready to go, is a massive process. And it costs a lot of money to do this. What's interesting about Scale AI and other of these kind of like clean data source places, Scale AI has like massive data repositories, so massive data sets. So having it all cleaned is like very valuable. But what's interesting about it is when you have this clean data, you can actually resell it over and over again. So if I was a company and I was trying to, train an AI model that was built to, trained on a million Twitter comments, and it was going to try to like generate the comment that was the most likely to get liked on Twitter, right? Like, let's say this is the AI model I'm training. I would have to go get all the data, or, collect a bunch of data from a bunch of different Twitter posts, clean the data, set it up, train my model. I have my model, boom, I'm done. Great, right? So it was a process. It cost me money. Now, what am I going to do with the data after I'm done? I don't know. I just need it at once, right? And maybe I'll go and make my data set more robust if I want to train like further on it. But like pretty much that's what I have to do. Scale AI takes advantage of the fact that they could go create a huge data set, sell it to someone, and then they could sell it to someone else the next day. If a company, if someone else wants to build the same thing tomorrow, they have to start from scratch with creating their own data set. So it's kind of cool. They can resell it. So how much money are they actually making in this, clean data reselling game? Well, they said that they estimate, or they're forecasting, they'll make $1.4 billion this year. So when you look at their valuation of $14 billion, they're doing about a 10x multiple on this year's revenue. This is interesting because it's, it seems like pretty, I don't know if I want to say frothy. Like a lot of times with these companies, we're talking about like a 7x multiple, like a ripping AI company that's doing great, 7x multiple, that's pretty solid. So right now they're doing 10x multiple, and it's actually more than a 10x multiple because they're doing a 10x multiple of their forecasted revenue from this year. We're not even halfway through the year. So it's like, they're making there's a little speculation in there. Obviously their company's doing really well. I think that their revenue last year, 2023, tripled. So it's growing very fast, but they're doing a 10x multiple of what they expect to make this year. So all this to say, not like no shade thrown in their way. I think this is amazing. They're doing very well. This is a very, very interesting space. I have some other friends that are working on some projects kind of similar to this. And I actually think this is a fantastic industry. This is a great place to be in. It feels like the people that are selling the picks and the shovels in the AI space. A lot of people ask me like, I want to invest in like what's going on in AI. Who are the picks and the shovels? Not just like the AI golden nuggets to get rich off of, but like who's actually making stuff that's being sold. Scale AI is one of those. NVIDIA obviously is one of those because they make the hardware, but the data is just as important. And if you can find something like Scale AI, I think it's incredibly valuable. So something interesting, this round was read by Accel. They had participation from a bunch of different investors, including Amazon, Meta, and others. What does this tell you? When you have Amazon, when you have Meta, both people who are creating their own AI models investing, those companies a lot of times will invest in their vendors. So if Meta's already spending a ton of money paying Scale AI for data sets, then they're like, oh, it's kind of a no-brainer for us to invest in this company that is, selling us these data sets. It's an investment strategy I've heard talked about by a lot of investors, and it's called, I think, like P&L investing. You just go look at your profit and loss statement, your P&L, you look at your expenses, and you look at who do we pay a lot of money to that we do not regret. Like, it's expensive, but I absolutely don't regret investing in them. or spending money on them, and those are great people to invest in. So looks like Amazon, Meta are doing the same strategy here. It's pretty standard. Scale AI has said that this new race is going to help them to, quote, accelerate the abundance of frontier data. And they're really hoping this is all going to help pave the way for AGI. So this is interesting. It's kind of fun. They get to be part of the big vision of AGI because they're like, look, we're supplying all the data that's going to make this. I think it's an interesting company. It's obviously making a ton of money. So I'll keep you up to date on how this goes, what their new raises are. I think this was their Series F. They're growing very fast, and it's a fascinating company. If you enjoyed the episode today and if you learned anything new, I would really appreciate it if you could leave me a review or drop a comment on this video if you're watching over on YouTube. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day.